with a Welsh connection, and the Welsh Society of Ireland are trying to get official recognition for it. We met its oldest member, who at a remarkable 103 years of age remembers it in its first incarnation. But first, listen to this.
The rousing sound of the Dublin Welsh male voice choir singing a popular Welsh hymn at their weekly rehearsal in Donnybrook. A century and a half ago, it's a sound you would have heard every Sunday if you'd strolled down Dublin's Talbot Street. Today, this is a Chinese internet cafe, but in the 19th century, it was a gathering place for a different group of immigrants.
This is the former Welsh chapel that was here in Talbot Street from 1838 until it closed in 1939, and was founded originally for the use of Welsh sailors mostly who were visiting Dublin, either coming on the mailboat from Holyhead or working on cargo ships, and founded more or less as a sort of mission for Welsh sailors who had nowhere to worship in Dublin on Sundays, mostly speaking only Welsh, so they had no services for them. It's the chapel that's really kept the Welsh language alive in many areas of Wales, including my own area in the valleys of South Wales. And the foundation stone of the chapel, their own chapel, was laid on St David's Day, March the 1st, 1838, and opened later that year. You can read stories of the singing, particularly when the sailors were in here on Sunday night, of them raising the roof singing Welsh hymns here, as you can imagine.
At the astonishing age of 103, Howell Evans has clear memories of attending the chapel as a teenager.
I came here when I was about 4 or 5 years of age, and I had no English, of course, but the chapel was the place where we could meet other Welsh people. And I remember the people who were there, of course, John Lloyd Jones, of course. Needless to say, he was Mr. Wales in Ireland. He was the youngest professor of Celtic Studies in UCD. He was about 21 when he came over. Yeah, and there was a great fuss of him. He was the first professor there of the Celtics, and he made his mark. When a person got sick in Holyhead at that time, the hospitals in Liverpool went of the best. So they came to Dublin, because all their friends were crews on the mailboats and on the North Wall boats. There were a couple of Welsh nurses in the Adelaide Hospital, and that was the place to go, the Adelaide Hospital. It was the adjunction to Holyhead. In the beginning, the church was made for the sailors, to keep them out of the pubs in Dublin. They come there on Sunday. I used to cycle in every Sunday morning, leave my bike, and there's a railings in front and a gate. You can leave your bike inside the railings, yeah. And I think it was a meeting place more than anything else for Welsh people. Well, it was much bigger than this room. Seats in the middle, passage each side. And we were always in the middle, you know, and a gallery. And every sailor chewed tobacco, bacco shag they called it, or bacco amlwch, as we say in Wales. Everybody had tobacco, and they could do that 5 or 6 feet of a spit. So they had a spittoon in each seat for the sailors to spit into the street, yeah.
The chapel stayed open during the War of Independence and Civil War.
Well, there was trouble all over that street, of course. The police made a search of the premises, and the caretaker had quite a stack of rifles and things stored away. A safe place for them.
One Irishman who visited the chapel regularly was Ernest Blythe, Ireland's finance minister in the 1920s. He went there to learn Welsh.
Yeah, when early days of my time, he came. John Lewis was teaching him Welsh. I think he had an interest in the Celtic languages. And I remember him coming, and his aide-de-camp Kell, Sergeant Ken Capinall, all dressed up in uniform, sat in the church with him. And he had to listen to the sermon and everything else.
With the decline in maritime traffic and dwindling membership, the chapel closed in 1939, later becoming a shoe shop. but it made its mark. Ernest Blythe wrote that little Welsh-speaking congregation maintaining its individuality in a foreign country made a profound impression on me. And now the Welsh Society in Ireland wants it remembered.
Well, we've submitted an application from the Welsh Society in Ireland, that's Dragwerth, Green Dragon, to Dublin City Council to get protected status for the chapel, because we think it's important that it retains what characteristics it still has as a Welsh chapel. And we hope as well to get a plaque put up on the building commemorating the Welsh influence in this area and drawing people's attention to it. And that's the campaign that we have at the moment. It's really the last significant reminder of the Welsh influence in Dublin from the 19th century, and it's very much part of Dublin's history as well. Dublin with a lot of different groups coming and leaving the city. Well, this is the mark that the Welsh left in this area, and it's important that we don't forget it and that we remember it.
To the coast now. Swimming on Sandymount Beach has been a time-honoured tradition for many Dubliners down